And three, two, one. Hello everybody, welcome to another Adobe Premiere tutorial. Today we're going to be talking about using lower thirds and their purpose. All right, so we have this video here of Nico Fades. She's a barber at the Fade Game Barbershop located in Jamaica, Queens. And we, did a profile on her and why she likes barbering and all that kind of stuff. All right, so we're going to go ahead and play this and show exactly where the lower thirds would be appropriate to be placed and why we would use them. All right, let's go ahead and play this.
I'm Nico Fades. I'm 26 years old. I'm from Southside Jamaica, Queens. I've been working at the Fade Game Barbershop for about 6 years now, and my favorite haircut is obviously the fade. So, in the next 5 years as a barber, I expect the Fade Game, as well as myself, to expand a little bit more.
All right, so now we've been introduced with the name of the barber, the person's name, Nico Fades, and but we would like to see a little bit more factual information here. I know this is a more of like a promotional piece. It's a profile for a business, but for all intents and purposes, the reason why we use lower thirds is to present who is talking. So we know who's talking, who to attribute these quotations to. So like just like having a print quotation, a quotation in a print article that you would see online or in a newspaper, you'd see the person's name and where they're from and likely their age, and or if the person's a subject matter expert on any particular subject that's being reported on, that person's title will also be included in that lower thirds. So now lower thirds, the reason why they're called lower thirds is because the information that we're talking about that we need to see for this person would exist in this portion of the frame, in this lower third. So remember we talked about the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds would be going from 2 lines straight across and another 2 lines going up and down, thereby dividing the entire frame into 9 equal parts. All right, so so the lower third would hang out in this region right here, in this little quadrant, in this third right here. And what we want to do is to give this person a name in this video. All right, so what we're going to do, since we're already in our graphics and captions tab, I'll just show you exactly where it is. We're going to go over to workspaces and we're just going to click on graphics, captions and graphics, and that'll bring us over here to this this pane over here that's next to our program window and our timeline. So we're going to click on browse and we're going to browse through all of our motions graphics, and the easiest way to figure this out, to find something, is just to type LOWER, lower thirds, and that'll bring up all of the lower thirds motions graphics and titles that would be here in your pane, and just hit enter. And then these are some of the default lower thirds that Adobe Premiere provides to you. You have several. You have one that has the banner behind it. You have another one that of course the banner behind it with the 2 lines, and then you have one with the banner with only 1 line. And then you have this one, which is a bold image caption. You have this one here that has some sort of animation behind it, which kind of fades in and fades out. You have a variety of different lower thirds and ones that kind of like disappears. If you get to any other organizations that you work for, you may intern for, they may have their own particular type of lower third that that their graphics person probably designed for their organization. But for all intents and purposes here, we're going to use our standard lower third here. All right, so one that doesn't really fade in and fade out, one that's very generic and very plain and kind of, I wouldn't say boring, but something that's just not as flashy, because sometimes the subject matters really don't call for it. But I'm not finding the lower third that I really want here, so what I'll do, I'll just X out of this And here it is. Here's a basic lower third. So if you're ever looking for it in Premiere Pro, when you're in this tab here, you'll put in basic and you'll be able to get up to the basic lower third here. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to drop this right here. I think this is an appropriate place to drop this on the timeline, right in this area. So I'm going to drag and drop it all the way over here to the timeline, and I'm going to leave it somewhere at the top here so it's away from all of this other stuff. What I'll probably do, I'll change the color just so that I know that the lower third graphic is hanging out over here. I'll change the color. I'll hit, number 4 just to change it to yellow so that it looks a little different from everything else so I don't get confused. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is move the header over to where the lower third exists. All right, now we look at the lower third, we're going to move it back and forth. It's static. It really doesn't move. There's no animation to it. Like I said, it's very plain. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to go over to and click into the lower third. I'm going to actually, hold on a second. We're going to click into the timeline onto the actual lower third itself graphic here. And then to our right, we're going to see all of this stuff come up. We're going to see all of the information here come up. And we can manipulate a lot of different attributes when it comes to this first and also the second line as well. The first order of business right now for me is to get this more into this third of the frame. I'm going to drop this down here just so that it sits nicely right over here. And I'm just going to properly align this up here. All right, so I'm grabbing the top and the bottom portion, and let's give it some, some little bit of headroom, like right here. All right, let's drop it down just a little bit more, and we don't want to bring it down too far. I think this is a good space to leave it. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to double click right in here, and I'm going to type over the person's name, and that would be Nico Fades. All right, and now right below here, we're going to add the person's title, and that would be barber. So Nico Fades is a barber, and just like you would in a Microsoft Word, you can type right in there so long as you click it, and how you'll be able to type in it is you just double click, and there you go. And same thing goes for here as well. And to click out of it, you'll just you'll come over here, and I would suggest that you don't try to use any of the keyboard shortcuts, because if you try to, then you'll just wind up typing a letter inside the lower third anywhere into the frame. So just make sure you click outside of it. That's probably the only time you'll probably, aside from using your hotkeys, is to just use the mouse and click over here to your panel. All right, and that's pretty much it. So. And you would run this lower third for just about 5 seconds. I think 5 seconds is a good amount of time to let this run.
However, I expect the fade game as well as myself to expand a little bit more.
All right, and if you have a new person introduced into your piece for the first time, then definitely provide that information. If they happen to appear a second or third time in the video, then it's really no need, I would say, to reintroduce that person. Once you introduce the person with the lower thirds, that's it. You really don't have to reintroduce them again unless you're presenting a new video again with that same person's information, and then you would reintroduce them. Another rule I would say is to try to keep everything simple. This is a very big, I think, font, but it's large enough so that you're able to see it on screen. I'm going to make this full screen right now. So as you can see, it's full screen. It's nice and bold so that we can read the information, and it hangs out there for a good amount of time. All right. And that is pretty much it for lower thirds. Now, if you have any questions or comments or anything like that, please do not hesitate to leave a message or leave a comment down below. And I will talk to you all later.